Hello, friends. After a exciting week one in the Massillon Fantasy League, 2 games decided by fewer than 2 fantasy points. It's the way you like to see things get going. We are on to week 2. I'm Ryan. He's Dan. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing great. Yourself?
I mean, 1-0. That's the best thing I can ask for when it comes to the Massillon Fantasy League, especially after the rough season I had last year. Liking where my quarterback situation is, hence the screen name. Feeling Justin Herbert right now, hoping it stays that way. Little concerned about RB2, but that's a problem for another day.
What's your confidence level in Herbert right now after 1 week?
Sky high. And I'm barely being facetious here. Eventually, Amari and Hampton is going to be better. I kind of called that it was going to be a bad week against the Chiefs. So I think they'll start to lean on their running game a little bit more, but I think they also realize what they have in Justin Herbert, and there's no reason to just move away from that.
It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be real interesting because Herbert looks like maybe he's taking that step.
Yeah.
But I think I would need a few more weeks of it before I truly feel comfortable.
I'm feeling good. Actually, that comes up in my lessons to learn about another quarterback who I was spending a lot of time shitting on last week. So let's talk about lessons learned in week 1, Dan. I'll give you my 3. We can talk about my 3. We can talk about anything you want to throw in here. My first lesson learned is it looks like 100 points is still a win here. Obviously, there were 2 people who scored 100 points last week that did not get a win, but the vast majority, 100 points, get you a win. JJ McCarthy might be okay. I think for 3 quarters, Steve Horvath was probably ready to eat his words, but in the 4th quarter, he showed a lot. But I'm concerned still about McCarthy. There are so many good quarterbacks in fantasy football right now, certainly after week 1. And then, Dan, my last one, and this is a bit of a week 1 overreaction, but Travis Hunter not looking like the cheat code I thought he was going to look like, at least after 1 week.
It's 1 week for a rookie. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Did you see the one-handed interception that Horn had?
Yeah.
That was to Hunter. Hunter had toasted the corner. His guy that was guarding him, he had toasted him. If that guy doesn't make that crazy catch on that interception, that's a touchdown for Hunter. That's a 70-yard touchdown. If they're going to target him like that, I don't know what the finals were, but I know 3 quarters of that game, he had triple the amount of targets that Thomas had. So
yeah, I was going to say that when on my other shows in the preseason, we talked a lot about comparing this offense to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And Travis Hunter looks like he's in that Chris Godwin role, and that could just be great for fantasy football. And I gave you a lot of shit about Zay Flowers, and he's the wide receiver 1 on the week. So things could be working very much in your favor there, Dan. Let's talk about JJ McCarthy a little bit, and then you can throw any lessons in there for you. I'm not sure how much of the Monday night game you were able to watch. I typically don't make it through the 4th quarter, and I didn't this week either, so I'm doing a lot of box score watching. But I know for 3 quarters, JJ McCarthy looked fucking awful, certainly at halftime. Seemed to have found something in the 3rd or 4th quarter and scores a rushing touchdown. Doesn't get you a lot of extra points in our league like it does in some other leagues, but still good to see that facet of his game.
I did stay up and watch it. He looked really good in that 4th quarter. I mean, here's the thing. This is his first start. It's on the road. It's a divisional game. It's Monday Night Football. It took him time to get settled in. We'll see if it continues. I mean, he really to put up with all the stuff that went wrong in that game, to throw a pick 6 in the 3rd quarter and come back, the mental toughness that guy has says a lot right there about, I think, his future.
Yeah, there you go.
So you didn't have to watch the end of the game then?
No, I did not. I've seen the highlights.
Do you know
watch the end of the game?
In our fantasy league, what caused Rob to win that game then?
No, I have no idea.
The final play, the Bears tried to do the flea flicker, and it was a fumble that the Vikings recovered, and that's what got Rob the 3 points to get him to win over Taylor. That's
wow.
How Taylor lost. Going into that last play, Taylor was up by 1.5.
Wow. I lost the game not in this league, obviously, because I didn't lose in this league. But I lost the game in another league on the Buffalo Bills comeback. I was going up against James Cook and Josh Allen, and through 3 quarters, things were looking great. They didn't look so great in the 4th quarter. So
for Taylor, they looked great for about 56 or 59 minutes. And
I think Taylor actually texted me about it, and I didn't understand the text, and I didn't text him back. So sorry about that, Taylor, and sucks to suck. Yeah. So speaking of which, let me go ahead and get the league up on the screen right now. I have the top 8 if you will. So the 7 winners and the loser who scored the most points, which was Rob P, drops 110 points, but loses to 111 points. That's never fun. Rob Motz, as you mentioned, wins on that fumble recovery, the only winner to not score 100 points. My Super Bowl champion leads the league in scoring, dropping, or no, sorry, that's Terry. Never mind. I'm getting confused here. My guy's in second with 120 points. Terry with the high score. I feel like, Dan, if we go back in time and counted up all of the weekly high scores that people have had in this league, Terry might lead the league, because I think he was like, he had 4 of them last year. This man knows how to pull big weeks out of his ass.
He has the right guys for big weeks. So Josh Allen can go off at any time. Derrick Henry can go off at any time. And who is this other running back he had for the longest time? He always kept 2 running backs.
Wow, I am blanking. Wasn't it Eckler? Wasn't he an Eckler guy?
Might have been.
When Eckler was good,
yeah.
I feel like that's what it was.
Yeah. So Terry's always had those running backs that could just go off.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Team, I think Terry's team is dependent on those 2 guys.
Yeah, let's throw Terry up on the screen here real quick. So you got Josh Allen at quarterback, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty. We talked about Terry builds around running backs. He switched it this year, but I bring this up, and it's going to come up during the PvP matchups this week, Dan. Those wide receivers, I'm not comfortable with in a 14-team league. Even Michael Pittman, Cooper Kupp, and Jalen Waddle is my starting wide receivers.
Yeah. When I sat with Terry and did the draft, when he got Cooper Kupp there in the 3rd round, I was so mad at myself. I had just picked, and I did not realize Cooper Kupp. I just blanked that Cooper Kupp was even in there, because I would have taken him. But to see him only get 3 targets on the day, thank you, Terry, for taking him instead of me.
I think one of my favorite things that happened this week, Taylor obviously left the draft with a very full roster, and because of the way keepers play out, you get to have the extra players up until kickoff. Taylor did not know what to do with Jake Ferguson, ends up letting him go, is livid after the George Kittle injury, knowing that Terry's going to want Jake Ferguson. But I don't know if anybody else noticed this, Dan, or if anyone else was even looking. Terry did not put in a waiver claim on Ferguson. Terry waited until after waivers had run and grabbed him for free. So Taylor, if he had just woken up a little bit earlier, could have gotten Ferguson back and kind of stuck it to Terry a little bit.
Hey, hopefully Taylor learns a lesson to get out of bed.
Yeah. Exactly. That high score for Terry does get him a lottery ball for the draft next year, assuming that he is in the lottery. If he's not, then it won't matter for anything. But as of right now, Terry is there. And then, Dan, before we wrap up this section, actually move on to week 2, unless you have any lessons, I apologize. I'll let you throw those in as I ask this question. No changes to my 6 playoff teams. I thought about moving Horvath in, but I didn't want to move anybody out. Yourself or Terry are kind of my 2 fringe teams. I don't think Horvath is better than you guys yet, and I'm going to keep Steve Weiss as my champion.
I'm going to keep all of mine the same. I'm not going to overreact to 1 week of anything.
There you go. And any lessons from week 1 that I didn't give you a chance to throw in there?
I mean, my lessons were, you got to watch the whole game on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, 15 seconds left in the season can end a game for you.
Yes. I felt like a lot of teams were just carried by 1 or 2 guys that just went off. I felt like there wasn't anybody that had like a great team week.
Yeah, that my kind of takeaway though was overall, I felt like fantasy scoring was way up in week 1. I have no stats to back this up, but I said it on a couple of my other shows this week. I just felt like outside of AJ Brown and AJ Brown and Jamar Chase, I felt like every superstar did what they were supposed to do last week.
Interesting. I just feel like the Ravens-Bills game just carried everybody.
That's fair too. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just blinded by Monday night comebacks and Sunday night comebacks and high scores. Dan, let's get into the week here. I'm going to scroll the screen back up. I'm just taking it in order because it is so much easier for me to take it in order. First game of the week, Dan. Last week, 6-1 for your boy. Picking against JR was the only mistake I made. 6-1. Dan, you went 4-3. Darren got me his picks. Darren went 5-2. So everybody above 500 on the weeks, but I jump out to an early lead. As we know, I tend to choke these games away.
That's the first time you've had a lead in this in probably like 3 years.
I was saying I tend to choke these games away towards the end of the season, so I need to build up a lead to have a chance to win any of this. Dan, first game of the week is me versus Greg. No offense, Greg, but I'm calling it the Greg bye week. I am not concerned, and I'm not even concerned after my boy Bill just looks like absolute shit for me on Thursday night. That Packers defense is legit. Dan, I went over this matchup. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time here unless you think differently than me. The only thing I like better for his team is his fantasy defense. New England against Miami, I feel like is a cupcake. I'm riding this Buffalo thing out, but I'm already nervous about it. I honestly think that could be the highest scoring game of the week, and I may end up pivoting before the game actually gets started. Everywhere else, I prefer my players. I prefer my matchups. I think this is a good win for me.
It should be a nice, easy win for you. I mean, he has Dallas Goedert out. I don't know if he has another tight end on his bench.
He actually his flex is a tight end, so as long as he's paying attention to his roster, he's going to be fine. He can move Kincaid up into tight end and then get somebody off the bench, Darius Slayton, I guess, up into a starting lineup. So
yeah, I absolutely hate his running backs. Yeah, you should walk away. I mean, I hope you lose, but you should walk away with a nice cozy Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. That's kind of where I stand too. Darren, I doubt you're watching. I don't think anybody's watching right now, which is fine. You guys can watch later. But get me your picks. We got Eric taking on Motts. Eric loses last week. Motts wins last week. However, Eric is projected to win this matchup by 4 points going into the week after the Thursday night game on the back of Tucker Kraft. 6 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown, 21.2 fantasy points. The only player from this matchup that has went off, Dan. How do you see this one playing out?
I expect Eric to take the win. Overall, I think he has a stronger team. I think Mike Evans should have a comeback game. I'm worried about Walker. Walker did not get a lot of carries last week. That could be a problem for him down the road. So look at Mott's team. Can you count on Williams to do that every week? But I think Hurts, combined with what he got from his tight end and just a better overall roster, I'm going to go with Eric take the win.
Yeah, we are in a firm disagreement here. I do not think it is a better overall roster. Jalen Hurts is better for sure, but the rest of the roster, I give an edge to Motts at every single position, even with the Javonte Williams taking on the Giants. Giants are missing one of their defensive tackles, which I think is going to cause some problems. I like Motts' team better at wide receiver. I love Hunter Henry this season and this week. I mean, we kind of had this exact same debate about Rob Motts' team last week, but I am picking Motts here. I am not picking Eric. I think Hunter Henry is going to be able to cut into that gap a little bit. I did want to bring up one of the biggest free agent acquisitions in fantasy football last week was Quentin Johnston, who Eric pulls off, but keeps him on his bench against the Raiders in favor of Jamison Williams and Keon Coleman. How do you feel about that?
I would need to see more from Johnston before I put him in there. I wouldn't have spent what he spent on him to begin with. I need to see if the Chargers are going to throw the ball that much. Was that just a Chiefs game? They knew they needed to outscore them. I also like Ladd McConkey as their number one. I don't think that Johnson's going to put up those kind of numbers. You said you like Rob's team overall better.
Rob's starting lineup, let me be clear, because I do actually have some questions about Rob's team makeup is my next follow-up question.
Where are you at with Nico Collins?
I'm not as worried about the world or about Nico as the world is. Obviously, there are offensive line issues with the Houston Texans that is preventing CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, my God, what a flash in the pan he was. I think Nico Collins is still going to be a target hog. I don't think he's certainly not the top 5 receiver that some people had him projected for. I think he's in full PPR like us. I think he's still a borderline top 10, top 12 wide receiver.
Okay.
And then I think Brian Thomas Jr. is just fine as well. Obviously, neither of those things worked out. But Dan, the other thing I wanted to bring up, I don't think we've seen this much in our league, certainly by a manager as seasoned as Rob Motts, but that would be 1 quarterback at Kyler Murray, 2 quarterbacks at Caleb Williams, and 3 quarterbacks at Drake May. What is Rob doing?
That's called when you have 3 quarterbacks, you really have 0.
Yeah, like make your decision. No one's going to trade you for quarterbacks in this league. It doesn't happen. Get them on waivers. Get yourself some talent. Very strange roster makeup for me there. That one caught me by surprise when I was looking at people's benches. Stevie versus Phil. This should be a great matchup this week. Right now, Stevie, even after a big Thursday night from Phil, is projected to win this matchup by 2 fantasy points. We had Jordan Love dropping 18 for Phil, Josh Jacobs dropping 11 for Phil, Terry McLaurin dropping 7 for Phil. So right now, when you look at the score, Phil has to be happy. However, Dan, Sleeper does not have Phil winning this matchup as it stands. When I look at it, I am going to pick Stevie on the comeback. I think every one of Stevie's players can make up for what Phil did on Thursday. Outside of Jordan Love having a really good game, I think Stevie's guys could beat all of those games. I think Baker Mayfield can match. I'm not worried about Phil with Brock Bowers. One, they said he had a great practice today. Two, I love Brenton Strange, Phil's backup, and I think Brenton Strange could keep up with Travis Kelce this week. But none of that matters because when I look at the position by position, I think Stevie closes that gap and takes the win here.
I want to take Steve to get the win here. I think he has a better overall team. I'd like to see more out of Jacobs and more out of McLaren before I would expect him to get that win on Thursday night. Like, he did score a lot of points as a team, but those guys individually, I would have wanted more from them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I just don't have the time that I used to have to know what is happening in the football world. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
What is going on?
So if you're talking about why was he shit last week, it's the Dolphins offense.
No. I'm talking about, like, is he in danger of getting suspended at this point?
Oh, no. If anything, you could see the Dolphins rest him for a trade, but there is no talks of any of the disciplinary action from any of the shit he had going on in the season. That whole thing kind of cleared itself up in 24 hours, and the NFL had never even stepped in from what I understood.
Okay.
So.
I just knew there was something going on. I didn't know
some
what
fight
it
in a
was.
hotel room.
I was just looking at Steve's team makeup-wise long-term, if something's going on with Tyreek Hill.
That's a good point.
How that would affect his teams. I don't think he has a receiver that can take that spot on his roster.
Yeah, I mean, Khalil Shakir's not awful. Kayshon Boutte looked good last week, but certainly not anyone to lift up the expectations that you would have for Tyreek Hill. I was actually going to go to the other roster on this, Dan. How worried are we about Terry McLaurin? If I can bring him up on the screen real quick. 3 fantasy points in week 1, 7 this past week, 2 for 27, 5 for 48. Certainly not the elite performance we saw out of him last season.
Correct. Last season he was elite. This is what his 7th. This is his 7th year in the NFL.
Yeah.
How many don't look it up, but how many top 10 finishes do you think he has as a wide receiver? Like,
in a season? 0.
He has 1.
Oh, does he? I would have said 0. I've been hammering this on him for years, is that he's a wide receiver too, and that's what we should expect out of him. So I've been kind of hammering that for a while. So
I'm not worried about his performance last week or this week, just because that's what I expect out of him. I don't expect top performances out of him.
I accidentally changed the screen in the background here, so I got to figure this out real quick. My bad. No, I think we're on the same page there. We'll move on. We got Taylor versus JR. Again, lots of Thursday night action here. Taylor projected to win this matchup by 13 points. Has that 19-point performance out of Jaden Daniels, another 15 points out of Deebo Samuel, someone Taylor's very excited about. But JR gets 11 points out of his kicker, Dan, and that's no small feat in this league. That is the Thursday night matchups. I'll let you take over as the overall here.
I think this is going to be a very close game. I am not a believer that the Bengals defense that held the Browns to 2 yards to carry last week is the real Bengals defense.
Okay.
And I see him having Travis Etienne going against that Bengals defense. And I think Etienne could have a big game. I could be wrong. Maybe the Bengals defense has gotten better, but I need to see more than 1 week out of it to really believe.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Etienne, not only did he go off yards-wise, he still also had 3 targets, 3 catches. And I think that going against that Bengals defense, I could see that going up a bit more, considering that, like, I think Samson had several, maybe 6 or 7 catches last week against the Bengals.
I think it was actually 8, but yes, it was
exactly
ridiculous.
That's my point. Like, I could see him having a big game. I could see Chiefs-Eagles being a high-scoring game for Mahomes.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to go ahead and go with JR taking the win.
I broke it down, and I have it with you. I had it was close. The edges for me is I don't know if Mahomes with no wide receivers can match 19 points. And then I got to scroll all the way to the other end. The Steelers defense versus Seattle, I like better than the Kansas City defense versus Philadelphia. So the edges here for me were at quarterback and defense. So I am going Taylor in this matchup. I wanted to ask you about 2 players on Taylor's team, especially since they played your Bengals last week. Taylor picks up and starts Dylan Sampson immediately. Oh, did he change it? Oh my God, he changed it after I had already done my research on the show. Never mind. Taylor is not starting Dylan Sampson this week. So there goes that question. But I do want to ask you, should we be concerned about David Njoku? Harold Fannin Jr. comes in and makes a bit of a splash. Seems like everyone's favorite tight end in Cleveland right now. I'm not ready to write Njoku off after 1 week, but I think there's cause for concern.
Oh, I think there's definitely cause for concern. I watched that entire game. And honestly, I kind of forgot Njoku even played.
Yeah. And apparently so did Joe Flacco. What is it?
I mean, six
targets, but yeah, three for 37, nothing big.
It definitely felt like he was the second read at tight end, not the first.
Yeah. So do you think, and obviously reading entire offenses after week 1, Quinshon Judkins, I think they announced is back this week, but certainly may be back this week. Do you think this is just going to be a young guy takeover? Could David Njoku get traded?
Oh, I absolutely think that he could get traded. I mean, I feel like there's any year the Browns aren't in contention, I feel like is an Njoku trade rumor year.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's something I've been saying since the preseason. Honestly, I think 2 of Taylor's guys could end up in that situation. Alvin Kamara and David Njoku could end up playing on different teams. I think the worst case scenario for Taylor is that they end up on the same different team, and he's not very diversified. Terry and Horvath give us a break from Thursday night action. Not one player in this game going off in the Thursday night matchup. Horvath projected to win this one by 8 points, Dan, and that's with the disparity at quarterback, Josh Allen versus JJ McCarthy. I have the same analysis for this that I've had every time I've looked at Horvath's team. I'm not sure that I trust his quarterback, but his wide receivers are going to more than make it up. If Josh Allen goes nuclear, definitely a possibility. This could be tough, but I am going to pick Steve Horvath in this one.
I think this is going to be the best game of the week. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game between both teams. You look at all their matchups, I think it favors a high-scoring game, but I think Horvath overall has the better team, like you said, at receiver especially. So I'm going to go with him as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton that we need to break down in this game. Like you said, the biggest concern for me with Terry is always going to be his wide receivers. Josh Allen is going to have to carry his wide receivers, as you said at the very beginning of the show. Dan, we got you taking on Rob P. No players on Thursday night. Rob P. projected to win this one by 6 points. I'll go ahead and give my breakdown first, let you jump in here. This one was way closer than I thought it was going to be. I initially put your name in there as a win. Actually, no, I take that back. I put Rob P's name in there as a win. And then I went in and changed it to your name. And then I changed it back to Rob P. And I changed it back to your name. And what it comes down to is when there's a super close matchup, Dan, I pick the quarterback. You two have, in my opinion, QB2 and QB3 in fantasy football right now. And personally, maybe QB1. I have a thing for Joe Burrow this week. I think your Bengals go absolutely bounce back mode, have a wonderful game. So I have to pick you because I'm picking Joe Burrow as my top quarterback this week. Surprise for the game later on.
Nice. I think this is going to be a good game as well. I'm very nervous about it. I like Rob P's team. I know he took the loss last week. I think Malik Neighbors could go off this week.
Yeah, there's a lot in this game that you could see bounce backs from. Even Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have a great week.
I'm interested to see how DK Metcalf does going against Seattle. I feel like he's not super emotionally stable. I feel like going against his old team could be an issue for him mentally.
Could be a Mike Evans ejection type game.
I could see something like that. Do you think Aaron Rodgers last week against the Jets has found it again? Or is that just because he's playing his old team?
Okay, so I do think there was a revenge game narrative to it. Full disclosure, Aaron Rodgers is my stream of the week quarterback. I don't expect 4 touchdowns again, but I think 250 and 2 are definitely on the table. And I do think I'm going the other route. I'm not projecting an ejection. I do think DK Metcalf goes off in a revenge game. So I like Metcalf this week.
See, I don't like Metcalf this week. And I don't like Ibuka to have a big game. I think Houston's defense is pretty solid.
Ooh, okay. That's certainly against the most narratives right now.
So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna say myself in a close game. I'll take the win.
And one other credit I wanted to give you, though this could be the kiss of death based on my picks. The Rams are my stream of the week defense. I think you got a monster pick
Why
in there.
Did you say that?
I was
Jinx.
so upset when you got them. If you want to trade, we could trade Buffalo for the Rams straight up right now. I'm more than happy to make that move. We could talk about that. But
talk about that.
We're both giving you the dub there, and then that brings us to our final matchup. Kenny versus Darren, neither one able to win a game last week. A little bit of Thursday night action here. Kenny projected to lose this game by 16 points. That is after Darren gets 15.2 out of Zach Ertz, 64 yards and a touchdown for like the 40-year-old Zach Ertz. Green Bay defense, 8 points. Clearly not the best game ever, but 4 sacks. Man, Kenny could have used a turnover there, but I really like what I've been seeing out of that Green Bay defense overall. Dan, take us home. What do you think about in this game?
I think it's going to be a close game. Zach Ertz 15 helps him. Miami looks a hot mess.
Terrible.
I mean, having Achin, I got to look and see how he did last week. Seven attempts.
That's rough. He got saved in the receiving game, and I believe he even scored a receiving touchdown last week. So that's you're banking. Miami cannot run the football right now.
Yeah. So his 2 running backs combined for 18 rushing attempts last week. That's a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, 2 receiving backs.
I think Jamar Chase could have a huge game this week, so I'm going to go ahead and go with Kenny to get the win.
So, Dan, you took my notes out of my mouth. I said this one's very close, but there is only one difference maker in this matchup. Give me Jamar Chase, and I mean that literally. Kenny, let's talk this out. Give me Jamar Chase. Dan, looking the one lineup decision I had in this, and I wonder if you feel like this could change your decision at all. CJ Stroud, who has not looked good for a year and a half now, or Trevor Lawrence taking on your Bengals defense. Now, the Bengals defense obviously did not have a bad game last week, but I feel like that has the potential to be a high-scoring game more than the Houston-Tampa Bay game. How do you feel about CJ Stroud over Trevor Lawrence for Kansas?
Oh, I definitely think that's a mistake on his part. I would definitely have Trevor Lawrence in there. I know the Bengals won the game. The defense didn't give up a lot of points, but I can tell you that from watching that game, the number of just wide-open receivers that just dropped balls for the Browns, especially on big plays. I mean, they had back-to-back a 3rd and a 4th down where they just stone cold dropped the ball wide open.
Well, and then the two Flacco interceptions were wide receiver handoffs to your DBs.
Yep. So I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely the move there over CJ Stroud.
I agree wholeheartedly. Dan, second week in a row, we only have 2 picks different. We agree on me versus Greg. We agree on Phil versus Stevie, giving Stevie the win there. We agree on Horvath taking the win over Terry. We agree on you taking the win over Rob P. We agree on Kenny taking the win over Darren. However, Motts versus Eric. You have Eric. I have Motts. Taylor versus JR. I have my brother. You have JR. So that'll be the decisions when it comes down to if I can hold on to my lead in the game after this week. Dan, we wrap this show up as we always do. No audience this week after having the biggest audience ever for week 1 last week, apparently.
You might tell us something about our show last week.
Well, show last week. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I don't like that. I was going to say, I think we get a better crowd at 10 o'clock on Saturday night instead of 5 o'clock, but maybe we sucked last week and maybe that was the problem, Dan. You did not suck in the game, my friend, because you took down the game and picked the QB1 on the week with Josh Allen. Not a hard pick, but that's the point of the game. However, nobody picked Derrick Henry. Dan, you scored 59 points picking Josh Allen, and I actually don't remember who your other pick was now off the top of my head. Josh Allen and Justin Jefferson. Great picks. 59 points. The closest person to you was Nate, our friend. 39 points. You beat him by 20. Worst score of the week was Horvath, who scored a whopping 13 points with picks of... Horvath had Joe Burrow and T. Higgins as his stack and managed 13 fantasy points out of that. So, Dan, as always, I have my backups because you already know who my quarterback is. So if you want to steal it, you steal it. You are the champ. Do you want me to go first? Do you want me to go second?
You're first, sir.
All right. Well, there's no surprise what I'm picking here whatsoever. I think the Bengals are pissed. I think the Bengals offense has a ton to prove, and I think this is the defense to prove it is. I'm going to go with the correct Bengals stack. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I think they go absolutely nuclear this week. Those are my 2 picks.
All right. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts against the Chiefs, as I think the Chiefs are going to start off 0-2 this year.
Wow.
I like saying that.
Well, and it's hard to argue. Like, we saw what Jalen Hurts can do to the Chiefs in a very important game just a few months ago, Dan. If we get a repeat of that, that's going to work out really well for you.
I mean, if Herbert can do that to the Chiefs defense, I think Hurts can do even more.
What a great point. Absolutely.
And I'm going to go with Puka. I think Puka's going to have a big game against Tennessee.
Oh, break that down for me. Tennessee did a pretty decent job against Cortland Sutton last week. You think Puka Nacua?
I don't think Cortland Sutton and Puka Nacua belong in the same sentence.
Ooh, I like Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton is a solid wide receiver one for a team. I don't think how far down if you were starting an NFL team, how far down would you have to get before you're like Cortland Sutton's my wide receiver one? Would you have Cortland Sutton or T. Higgins?
I'll take T. Higgins. He's like, what,
exactly
3 years younger? Well, let me throw it to you this way. That's a great question, and I tend to not think about football that way. In fantasy, in leagues where I went like 2 running backs and a tight end, I do have Cortland Sutton as my wide receiver one on a couple of teams. So I'll also say I'm not happy about it.
Let me know how those teams finish at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think I think it's a fair point, but I like Cortland Sutton. But no, Puka Nacua,
I like him as a human. He seems like a great guy. I wish him the best. I'm not a huge Cortland Sutton thing. Now, was it a Cortland Sutton? They did well, or did Bo Nix? Because I don't think Bo Nix had a great week.
Bo Nix looks awful. And all the reports I read on Bo Nix from the preseason is that he looked uneven, hot and cold, and may not start this season very hot. We saw that in week 1. I think there are legitimate concerns for Bo Nix in that passing game at the very least.
I agree. But I think Puka getting 11 targets last week.
Still looked like the wide receiver one, which was important.
I think I wasn't questioning him being the wide receiver one.
People were though. Yeah.
About Stafford, how Stafford was going to look.
Yeah.
And I think the way he targeted, he got 130 yards. I think Puka is going. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy that's going to drop 35 for you. But I think you can count on a consistent 15 to 20.
I was telling the story on one of our shows within the last month about how my whole draft strategy of overdraft wide receivers and make cuts before, or hopefully make trades before, and how sometimes it comes back to bite you in the ass when you can't get a trade partner and you're the jackass who told everybody Puka Nacua is going to be good. And then you cut him. And then to make matters worse, your arch rival picks him up in a keeper league. So now you just have to watch Puka Nacua do well for another team for the rest of your life. And that's a tough one, Dan. One I'm not going to get over anytime soon.
I hope you never get over it. I hope it haunts you forever.
All right, Dan. Parting words for our friends.
2 things this week, actually. I want to say congratulations to Taylor. With the results from last week, he got his all-time record in 93 and 93. He is the all-time most average owner in our league's history. Congratulations to Taylor, Mr. Average. And I love you guys. Have a great weekend.
I am not looking forward to the comments we are going to get from Taylor on that comment. As always, average. I hope 12 of you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I feel bad wishing bad on Greg because my team's going to do bad enough to him already this week. I'm not even going to wish you bad, Greg. I'm going to go the Dan route. I love you guys. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope Greg has a slightly worse weekend than everybody else in the league just because I took the dub. Remember, if you guys want to participate in the game, obviously you could drop it in the comments here. You could drop it in the comments in the league chat. I'll make sure I get you guys on the record. And we've reached that point in the season. We're all over the place on timing, but it's probably going to be Saturdays. We are slaves to Dan's schedule, so he'll let us know when. But hey, it's fine, Dan. We get it. But if we want to have some guests, if you guys want to try to get on, get us in a group chat with me and Dan, and we'll try to make sure you know what the time is and we can get you on here. That wraps up.
If you want to add 5 more minutes to the show, I can tell you what my day's been like so far and what the rest of it's going to be like.
No, me and you can talk about that off the air, but I'm going to get this off the air. Guys, we'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck, everybody, but Greg this weekend. Peace.